Hey guys, what's going on? You're listening to the KP Podcast, the podcast where we talk to some bands where you got to know them a little bit better. Maybe you already heard about them before. Maybe you've never heard about them, and now you're hearing about them. Well, today, we're going to be hearing about a band called Dropout Kings, and I am talking to the vocalist of that band. His name is Adam Ramey. Adam, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I am excellent. You're on your way, or you're already there, I don't know, to see The Used tonight. How excited are you to see The Used?
Oh, I'm so pumped, dude. They're like one of my biggest influences. So I'm like super fucking stoked. I've seen them live like 3 times. So usually it's outside and this one's inside. So I'm stoked about that. But yeah, I'm super pumped. We're
nice.
Gonna leave for that.
Where are you seeing them at? Where are you seeing them at tonight?
It's called Crescent Ballroom. It's a cool venue in AZ.
Very nice. All right, well, let's get started with the interview. Who all is part of the band Dropout Kings, and where are you guys from?
So it's me, Adam Ramey. So that's and then Eddie Wells, and then it's Trevor Norgren, Stage Flynn, Chucky Guzman, and Rob Sebastian.
Very nice.
Pretty much all of us are from all of us live in Arizona for the most part. Eddie's from, I want to say Minnesota or something like that. And then Rob is from Michigan, our bass player, and he lives in Michigan, and then flies out here when we got to do stuff. But for the most part, all of us are in Arizona.
Okay, I gotcha. And how or when did this band get started?
It was probably like late 2016. I was in another band called The Bad Chapter, which is where like pretty much everyone from this band came from.
No way.
But yeah.
I say no way because I love that band, and I've been wondering what happened to that band. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Dude, it's this band now for the most part. Phil's still doing stuff. He's the only one in the band in The Bad Chapter, but yeah, he's still trying to do stuff. But yeah, man, like literally all of us were in that band except for Eddie and Chucky. But yeah, we were all in that band. So
my mind's blown right now.
Yeah, it's funny because like it's interesting because like a lot of people still remember it, and I'm like surprised because we weren't around that long. But
right.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so that band kind of started becoming stagnant, and like we were also spread out and made it like kind of difficult. So basically, like it was kind of tanking, and I'm like, shit, dude. Like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I want to still be active in music. And so I started doing covers. And I was like, I want to do a cover of a Linkin Park song, but I want to have, like, an actual rapper do, like, Mike Shinoda's part. So I found this video, and it was called, like, AZ Underdog Cypher. And it was, like, a bunch of local rappers. And I was like, cool, I'll check this out and, like, see if someone stands out to me. And, like, immediately Eddie stood out to me, and I'm like, this is the guy. Like, this is for sure the person I need. And I hit him up. His manager responded. He was down, and I was like, cool. So we did the video. I met him. Like, he was super cool. We got along really well. We did the video, posted on YouTube, got a shitload of views. Like, we were really stoked on it, had a good reaction. I'm like, dude, let's just make a band out of this because, like, I've always wanted to do a band that was like Linkin Park, but like I want to have like gent riffs in it. I want to have breakdowns, and I want it to be heavy, and like, but I also want it to be catchy. Like I want it to be everything that I want to do because I love rap and I love rock, and I'm like, I want to do everything, you know? Like, so we just started, you know, fucking doing it, and then I got all the boys from The Bad Chapter in this band and kind of just fucking started doing what it's doing, and then we're here now.
That's awesome. That's a good story, and I'm still mind blown about this Bad Chapter stuff. So
for sure.
We'll have to talk about this after the interview.
Oh, totally. Yeah, we can talk about it during it too. I don't care.
Okay, so you guys just dropped the new single "Glitch Gang," and you just released it, and it just came out on Stay Sick Records. Now, how has been the response for this so far?
It's honestly been really good, and it's almost like a 180-degree difference of a lot of the reactions we were getting on Napalm. Because, like, even though Napalm Records is a great record label, their demographic really wasn't ready for, like, the kind of music that we were making. Because they're, like, most of their fans are really super, super fucking metal stuff, you know? And, like, we're not that. And they're European, and it's different, you know? So, like, and granted, like, they signed us initially because they wanted to bring a new demographic to their table, you know? So, and it worked, you know? Like, it's mutually beneficial, but, like, there was more hater comments than anything on those. And on these, when we did this video on Stay Sick, like, the reactions were so good, you know? So I could just tell, like, demographic-wise, we were, like, really where we needed to be. So it was a good feeling to have that.
Right, and I've been following you guys on Instagram, social media for a while, so I'm going to ask you this question. I think I already know the answer, and I'll just kind of compare notes here. How did you get on Stay Sick?
Dude, it's an interesting story, really. Like one day, out of the fucking blue, I followed Franz on Instagram for a long time. Yeah. But one day out of the blue, I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to message him, you know, and just, like, bullshit with him. And he actually responded. We started talking a little bit here, a little bit there. He liked the band. He'd heard of us, blah, blah. And, like, one day he was on a tour and he was coming through Arizona. I'm like, hey, man, like, you want to chill or something? Like, I'd be super down to come through and kick it. And he was like, yeah, for sure. So he guest listed me, we hang out at the show, fucking hang out for like 3 hours, just like shooting the bullshit, you know, like, and we're headed towards the end of our album cycle on Napalm. So I didn't know if we were going to do another record with Napalm or if we're having our options open. So anyway, we started getting on the topic of like working with Stay Sick, and then eventually we were in the transition of getting a new manager. Then when we got the new manager, he was also super cool with Stay Sick. So then, like, before you knew it, like, the deal was on the table, you know, and it kind of just happened very, like, non-forcefully, like, very, like, it just flowed well, you know, like, everything went smoothly.
And it does it does make sense having your music on that label with all the bands that are on there. So, I mean,
totally.
Good for you guys.
Right. Thanks, man. Yeah, I really agree. Like, I feel like it's definitely the best fit for us right now.
Right. Now, I asked that question because I remember seeing either Franz or Stay Sick or both. It was probably just Franz post something about you guys. And I was like, ooh, I wonder if the next move is to have them sign to Stay Sick. So now my answer has come to fruition.
Yep. Your hunch was correct, bro. That was when we were in the talks of all that stuff, you know? Okay,
I gotcha. See, after you see so many bands do these things, you kind of pick up on hints here and there.
Yeah, totally.
So your album, Audio Dope, I listen to it pretty frequently. Can you walk us through the writing and recording process for this 2018 album?
Absolutely, man. So yeah, everything started with Scratch and Claw. That was the first song we ever wrote. And ironically, it's our biggest song, too, so it's interesting. Because, you know, initially I was like, dude, I want to... And this was before Chester died and everything, you know? And, like, I was just like, bro, I fucking love Linkin Park, and, like, I just want to bring, like, a modern twist to, like, what that was and, like, what it meant to me. And, like, I've always wanted to be in a band that was, you know, a good mesh like that, but, you know, our own perspective, because, like, as an artist, you really just bring your own perspective to the table. So, like, I really try to make it, like, what are we going through? Like, what can people relate to that we're going through? Because ultimately, like, that's what's going to make somebody care about your music, you know, letting them know, like, you care about them and, like, you've been through the same shit they have and you're all just the same, you know? You're not really different.
Yeah.
But, like, so we're taking that perspective through the whole album, Like, we kind of had that mentality throughout the whole record, and we knew we wanted, like, modern riffs and, like, gent in it and stuff, and then we also knew we wanted trap beats. But then at the same time, we really, with that album, we kind of scattershotted it, because when we were writing it, there wasn't any bands that were really, I mean, there are bands that are doing what we were doing, but not quite like we were doing. So I was really skeptical how people would react before it became like a lot more normalized the last few years. But, you know, like, or the last 2 years rather. But, yeah, so like we kind of scattershotted it. Like, we have like a song that's like very hip hop. Then on the other side, there's a super fucking heavy song. And then on the other side, there's like a super rock radio song. And then everything in between that, you know? So, like, we really were just like, what are people going to resonate with, you know? Because, like, we were still a young band, you know? So it's like, we didn't necessarily know, like, what we wanted to do, what people really fucked with and stuff. So, like, we really used that album to be like, well, what do people like on this, you know? And so, yeah, basically it was just scattershotting and just, like, writing riffs with Nick Sampson. And, you know, like, he really had a good eye, or a good ear, rather, for, you know, like, what could make us more unique and, like, yeah, unique to our band, and try to find a, you know, original type of sound. And, you know, I feel like the reaction we got from the album was amazing, too.
Right. He really helped you, he really helped you capture the sound that you were going for and make it your sound.
Right. Yeah. And I always try to tell people, because, like, people ask me, like, how important is a producer to, like, the music? I'm like, dude, you got to look at it as, like, yeah, you got to look at it as, like, your producer's almost like another member of the band, but, like, not in a way, you know, but, like, they are, because, like, you have this idea, but then there's this guy that's like, all right, here's how we make it possible, and we make it sick. You know, and it's
exactly.
like, they're always just trying to make you do your best. It's like having a personal trainer when you're working out. Like, you're never going to work out as hard as you work out by yourself. Like, if you have a guy being like, no, dude, you have like 3 more reps in you, you're like, fuck, okay, I don't want to do it, but I got this, you know, and like, you feel good, you know, and so like, that's kind of, I feel like that's how a producer is, you know, a good one that.
Right. I love that analogy. As someone that works at a gym, someone who works out a lot, I love that, and I'm gonna have to steal that from you one day and explain that to people.
Yeah, do it, bro.
Be like, listen, dude.
I feel like it's, yeah.
That's awesome. How long was that writing I mean, I like asking about writing processes because they're different for every band.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Some bands will sit down and riff it out in a room and kind of record some scratch tracks, then they'll go back into the studio and actually record it. Or some bands will sit down with the producer and be like, listen, we just have a few ideas. Can you help us make those ideas into actual songs? Like, what was that process like?
Yeah. So, like, Eddie is he's similar to me, but he's also really different. Like me, I like starting out with the music, and I like building my lyrics and what the song is going to be about around the music. It just helps me flow better and gets me in a good, like, writing state of mind. Like, Eddie, you can throw him in a fucking room and he will write something for you in like 30 seconds or like 5 minutes, and it's sick.
Oh, wow.
You know, and like, yeah, he's just like that, bro. Like, he just shows up and he does something and it's dope, you know, and he's just like that, you know. So I'm different, though. I like to think about it. And the thing is like, I write most of the hooks, and Eddie writes most of the verses, you know, so the verses are always crazy and complex, and verses don't really repeat ever, so it's like he's just going off on all these crazy bars and shit, like freestyling, basically, and then I'm, like, trying to think of the catchiest thing I can, so it works out for the way we have, like, the band worked out, for the most part. Obviously, some songs are different. He has some hooks, and I have some verses, too, but, you know, for the most part, that's pretty much the formula. But essentially, like, so that being said, we pre-pro'd at least like 30 songs.
Wow.
And I won't say they were full songs. Like, we had about like 7 full songs or 5 full songs going into there that we knew we wanted to have. But then we had the rest were like song ideas, like the meat and potatoes of like song ideas, you know. So pretty much like we took all that to Nick and we were like, hey man, pick and choose what you think is cool. Like, here's what we're trying to do. Here's what we've already released. Here's the image. Like, here's what we were thinking, you know, and then eventually we kind of just started going in. And then from there, you know, we would just write riffs with Nick, and it was a 5-week process. We went to Michigan, drove all the way there, and, you know, just isolated ourselves. Luckily, our bass player lives like 20 minutes away from the studio, so we slept over at his place every night, and then we drive to the studio in the morning. It was like carpooling going to work, you know, but we did that for 5 weeks, and then did 10 songs, and pretty much how it started. And then, like, yeah, for the most part, like, we'll try to think of like a beat or like drum parts or something first, and then put a riff over it. Then I put vocals over it, or sometimes a riff. Most of the time it's like drums and a beat or something like that, and then I'll put vocals over it, and then we'll put guitar over that, and then, you know, by that time it's pretty much done.
Okay. Awesome. You answered the question I was going to ask right after about you personally writing, so thank you for that. So with this single Glitch Gang, you also announced that an EP will be coming as well. What all is coming with this EP? What else is coming in the rest of 2020?
Yeah, it's crazy because there's a lot coming in 2020. Some that I can't talk about, but some that I don't even know is going to happen, you know? Like, every day is different. It's crazy. Like, with music, anything can happen any given day. Like, You never know who's watching. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, if they're interacting with you, yeah, you know, but sometimes, you know, you have new people looking at your shit every day. You never know what's going to happen. Some cool band could be like, yo, these guys are cool. I want to bring them on tour just because, you know, like, so any day, you know, something like that can happen. But, you know, as far as like what we got going, it's like, yeah, April 3rd, we have our EP coming out. Glitch Gang is 6 songs. And they're all, I mean, dude, I just feel like it's another evolution of what we are trying to be ultimately. And it's different than our first album, but it's more refined, I would say. And I really feel like it's even more unique than the first album.
More refined, more focused.
Yeah, you know, It's just like you know, as you get older and like, and I mean, the thing about my band is like, we've all like, they're the only people I really hang out with. And it's not just because they're in my band. It's like legitimately, they've all been my best friends for years. Besides Eddie, but he's still like my best friend now, you know. But I met him later than everyone else. But like, dude, it's like a family, you know. So it's like we're all learning new stuff with like from each other, and like we all get along really well. It's like we're growing older, and it's like, you know, you just learn new things about yourself. So it's like I feel like that all comes into play in this record, and it kind of just culminates to something super cool. I'm just really interested to see people's reactions to it when it comes out. But yeah, we're also working on a tour currently, trying to route one out right now. I wish I could freaking say more about that, but yeah, we are working on tours. We're working on shows. We got a show March 28th in Arizona called Riot Night. That's at the Rock Bar. It's gonna be like Spencer from Under Oath there, and then we're just gonna play. It's gonna be like a DJ set, and then we're just gonna play Glitch Gang for the first time. Do a little show.
Nice.
It's a cool little spot, though. Cool little local banger. You know, just to get our feet wet.
Yeah.
Freaking hang out with all the homies, you know, do a little album release show / listening party type thing, you know, a little sneak preview.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, just, you know, we're just fucking doing our thing.
Very nice. So, do you have any, I mean, you've been a musician for a while. You've been in the Bad Chapter of this band. You're only going to be growing from here. Any advice to young up-and-coming bands on how to really break through and be heard in today's,
absolutely. Yeah, the marketplace right now is interesting because social media is good and bad. It's good because so many people have the ability to see what you have to put out, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have so much competition. You know, and it's you really have to stop and think like, about your band and, like, why should people care about it? You know, because, like, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is everybody wants to feel like they're a part of something.
Yeah.
Like, and it goes beyond music. Like, that's why people join churches. That's why people join cults, you know? That's why people just want to feel like they're connected to something and they're part of something that's bigger than them. And if you can provide that with a platform like music, people will care. If you're striking them emotionally and you're getting a reaction from them, you know, like, those people are going to stick around for a lifetime. And if you can create that community with them, like, one of my favorite things about this band is that we've really facilitated such a community with our fans, and, like, we're so interactive and responsive. And I literally try to respond to every single person. Like, I try so hard, like we all do, try to respond to everyone. And just, like, it's cool because all the fans become friends and they go to shows together, and, like, it's just cool. And they didn't know each other, like, before the band, so it's dope, you know? And, like, that's the kind of shit that people want to be a part of, you know? It makes them care. And I feel like that's one of the biggest things, you know, is creating that for people. And, you know, like, one thing is, like, as an artist, the only thing you really have to offer is your perspective. So if you really have something to say, you know, that stands out a lot too, because, you know, the only thing, you know, it's all the same 12 notes in the scale, right? So it's just like the only thing you got is what, you know, your perspective and what you say is what makes you different, how you arrange those notes. And, you know, I keep all that kind of stuff in mind, you know, so that helps a ton. And also just persevering. Like, I could have given up so many times, like, so long ago, and I wanted to, and something just kept me going. And, like, honestly, I don't necessarily know what it was. Maybe it was drive, pride, whatever. Like, I just kept trucking along no matter how bad shit got, and it paid off in a big way. Like, I would be super pissed off if I would have, you know, given up so long ago. Some of the best things that have ever happened to me was because of this band, and I could have stopped way before then, and it would have never happened. So I think, you know, hard work and perseverance over raw talent or anything, like, any day, man. Like, that's the biggest thing. Persevere through everything, and learn from the fucking mistakes you make. Like, my biggest thing is you can't be smart until you're dumb once, you know? So it's like, you got to learn from it. Like, you won't know, you know, sometimes shit just happens, but if you learn from it, that's what makes you better. You know, you go through that shit sometimes because you're supposed to. I definitely believe that's a thing.
Right. I love that answer. That was an excellent answer. So thank you for that, Adam.
Thanks.
So basically, persevere through everything. Give it your hardest work you ever can. Be nice to everyone. Talk to everyone.
Yeah.
Respond to everyone. And hire a damn good producer if you're out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Frick, what was I just going to say? Yeah, you know, another thing I want to say, too, is, like, I try to look at it as a way, it's like, every day I try to market the band like it's the first time, it's like it's our first day we came out.
Exactly.
Like, I always try to market it like nobody's ever heard of us, and, like, people don't know us, and, like, you know, I try to think of every day like that, like, damn, how am I going to grow this band today? Like, no one's fucking heard of us. You know, and it's just like, I try to have that mindset all the time, so I'm grinding, and it keeps me hungry, you know, to keep trying and to keep, you know, getting more people involved. And, you know, like, that's a huge one, too, that I wanted to throw in there.
Right, that's a good mindset to have. I mean, think about it from the live show perspective. Let's say you're playing a show with Megadeth. Right, that'd be sweet. But how are we going to impress, I don't know, that 45-year-old dad over there?
Right,
like,
exactly.
You got to think about it that way too. I mean, there's all kinds of people listening at all times. And I'm very happy about this interview because, one, I just reached out to you randomly. I was like, I'll just shoot him a message, see what happens. And you messaged back. Look at that. And here we are doing this interview.
Absolutely.
Now, here's what's even funnier about this interview. You know how I heard about you? From my previous interview with Shaylee Bourget from Day Show.
God, really?
So whenever he dropped that song, Combat, with you guys, I've never heard of you. And then I was like, all right, I'll listen to them. And I was like, they're really good. So then I said, well, I could probably just interview them. So it just comes full circle. And it's really funny to me how all this works.
That's crazy, dude. That is funny, man, and it really just goes into everything I just said too.
Exactly.
You know?
That's why I said that.
Right. No, that's perfect. It's beautiful. You know, it's how it's supposed to be. You know, it just is.
Yeah. Any final words for any of your fans out there listening?
Yeah, man. Dude, just be you. Like, don't try to put up a front for anyone. Who gives a fuck if someone doesn't like what you're doing? Just fucking do it. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but it's like you only have a finite amount of time to be alive. It's like you might as well do whatever the fuck you want to do. Because, you know, even if you take that safe job, you know, you could still get fired from it. You know, like you can get replaced in like a week. You know, so take a chance, take a fucking leap of faith, and do what you actually want to do, what speaks to you and your true core of a person. You know, and I feel like if you just keep doing that and you stay on track with that and you put time and energy every single day and you nurture it and you build it, you know, nothing but good can come from that, you know? And it's like, fuck, dude, I get haters every single fucking day. And you know what? Honestly, I feel bad for them. I'm like, dude, it must fucking suck to be you, like to need to be validated every day on the internet and just shit on people for no reason, you know? It's like, I feel bad for them, and I want to help them, honestly, you know? So I try to be nice to those people, and it's just like, I feel like, you know, if you just keep that kind of a mindset and you be friends with everybody and you're not an asshole, you'll go far, because there's so many assholes in the world and in the music industry, and it's like, there needs to be more good people. And I feel like if you're just that and you're just you, it'll work out.
I love that answer again. That was a great interview, Adam. Thank you so much for being on here today.
Thanks, dude.
No problem at all.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm going to talk to you here in a second off air. That's Adam Ramey from the band Dropout Kings. Now, they just dropped a single called Glitch Gang with their new EP, also called Glitch Gang, coming out on April 3rd on Stay Sick Recordings. Make sure you guys check them out when you get a shot. I'm very happy with this interview. So, Adam, again, thank you so much. And thank you guys out there for listening to this episode of the KP Podcast. Hopefully you walk away with some different insights on some stuff that we talked about here today. But until next time, we'll see you next time.